Welcome to the deep dive. We try to sift through the noise here and get straight to what really matters, the insights you can use. Today, we're taking a really interesting journey, I think.
Yeah.
A deep dive into something huge, something that shapes our world maybe more than we realize.
Travel and tourism.
Exactly. Tourism, it's built on this urge we all have, right? To explore, see new places, experience different cultures.
That pull towards the horizon.
Right.
It's deeply human.
It absolutely is. But here's the thing. The paradox we really need to explore today. While tourism opens up all this wonder, brings prosperity sometimes, it can also cast these surprisingly long shadows.
Yeah, complex shadows, definitely. On the very places we're going to see, sometimes even changing them fundamentally.
That's the core of it. So our mission today is to unpack this really intricate world. We're looking at an industry that's not just big, it's a behemoth, a massive global force.
Reaching almost everywhere, every community, every ecosystem, really.
And with that kind of power, well, you get incredible opportunities, right, for development, connection. But you also get these profound challenges, huge challenges for the environment, for cultures. It's a delicate balance.
Or often an imbalance.
Right. So our material for this deep dive, it comes from a really insightful essay. It's titled Tourism, Benefits, Harms, and Sustainable Solutions.
And it's great because it doesn't shy away from that complexity you mentioned. It gives a very structured argument, looks hard at the pros, the cons, and then crucially offers solutions, real potential solutions for a more sustainable path forward.
Exactly. So our goal for you listening in is to give you a truly comprehensive understanding. We want you to see the whole picture of tourism's impact. We'll look at how it boosts economies, how it fosters, genuine cultural exchange.
But also how it can lead to pretty severe environmental damage and that tricky, often really sensitive issue of cultural commodification, turning culture into a product.
Which leads us to the big question, the one we'll keep coming back to. How do we harness the good, all that potential?
While mitigating the harm, the stuff we often don't see or maybe choose not to see.
Yeah. We're going to really lean into this, give you that balanced, nuanced view. Lots of specific examples from the source. So you can walk away truly informed about one of the world's most dynamic and honestly most impactful industries.
And I think what's really striking about this essay and why it's such a good starting point for us is how it immediately sets it up. It's not just tourism is good or tourism is bad. It's fundamentally a double-edged sword.
Right.
It acknowledges the power to connect, to uplift, to inspire, absolutely. But it's just as clear about its power to disrupt, to damage, maybe even to erode what was there before.
That framing is crucial, isn't it? It lets us move past simple judgments.
Exactly. We can try to unravel that complex web, economic, social, environmental consequences all tangled together.
We're not just looking at stats, but the human stories, the ecological stories behind those numbers.
Understanding the real trade-offs involved when we all, decide to travel.
That dual perspective is so important. And, maybe we should start by really appreciating the positive side first. The immense positive force tourism can be. Let's begin with the most obvious one, the economy. Tourism as this mighty economic engine.
Yeah, the source really hammers this home. It's not just a helper, it's a vital driver for many global economies, fostering significant growth, generating really substantial revenue streams, critical revenue in many cases.
And it's not just pockets here and there, is it? The essay says whole regions, even entire countries, become deeply reliant on tourism as their primary income.
That's a crucial point. Primary, sometimes almost the only major source.
Yeah.
And think beyond the direct spending, like you buying a souvenir or paying for a hotel.
Right, there's more to it.
Much more. The essay talks about this huge ripple effect. So the hotel buys food locally, hopefully. They hire construction crews, security, cleaning services, transport providers.
Okay, so that first dollar spent by the tourist keeps moving.
Exactly. It circulates. It supports countless other industries that spring up around tourism. Food suppliers, artisans, event planners, people maintaining the infrastructure. It's a whole ecosystem.
A really complex economic ecosystem. And the essay gives concrete examples, doesn't it? It mentions specific countries.
It does. Thailand and Spain are highlighted, generating, quote, significant revenue.
And significant revenue here. We're talking serious money, right? Not just like pocket change for the government.
Oh, absolutely not. We're talking billions. Billions flowing into national budgets, local governments every year.
Wow. So that money can then fund what, public services?
Public services, education, healthcare improvements, local development projects, things that genuinely lift communities.
It's not just abstract figures on a spreadsheet then. It's tangible funding that can improve people's lives.
Potentially, yes, when it's managed well and actually reaches the community level.
And beyond the government revenue, there's the direct impact on people's livelihoods, jobs.
Massive job creation. The source underscores this. Tourism is a colossal employer. Millions and millions of jobs.
Across all sorts of sectors.
All sorts. Hospitality is the obvious one, hotels, restaurants, but also transportation, retail, entertainment, even construction and agriculture that support the industry.
Can you give us a sense of the range? Like, who gets these jobs?
Think about it. Hotel staff, from managers to cleaners, airport workers, bus drivers, tour guides, taxi drivers, artisans making crafts, chefs, waiters, maintenance crews for attractions. The list just goes on and on.
It's incredibly diverse.
And what's really crucial, something the essay points out, is the benefit for often lower-skilled workers.
Right.
In many places, especially developing countries or rural areas, tourism offers vital income where other industries just don't exist.
So it provides opportunities where there might be very few alternatives.
Exactly. Essential opportunities for families to find stability, maybe even move up economically when they might otherwise be stuck.
Okay, so direct cash flow, jobs. What about the bigger picture? Infrastructure. Does tourism drive investment there too?
It definitely can. The essay details how tourist demand encourages investment in public amenities, things that benefit everyone.
Like what specifically?
New roads, improving connectivity, expanding airports, better public transport networks.
Which locals can use too, presumably.
Absolutely. That's key. These aren't just for tourists. Better roads, better transport serve the local community daily.
And crucially, the source mentions investment in preserving cultural sites.
Yes, this is a powerful link. Tourism revenue can be channeled directly into maintaining historic buildings, restoring ancient ruins, protecting natural parks.
So the money tourists pay to see something helps keep it there.
That's the idea. These investments, spurred by tourism, ideally create this shared advantage. Better quality of life for residents and a more appealing, sustainable destination for visitors.
A symbiotic relationship, in theory.
In theory, yes. The better roads, the preserved sites, the improved sanitation, maybe. These become lasting assets for the locals, too. It shows how, if managed thoughtfully, the spin-offs from tourism can genuinely elevate living standards for the host community.
Okay, so those are some really strong economic arguments. Physical improvements, too. But beyond that, what else? You mentioned connections. This is where it gets really interesting, right? The human side.
This is where it moves beyond just dollars and cents, yeah, into human connection. The essay argues, really compellingly, that tourism fosters cross-cultural understanding deeply. It exposes travelers to this incredible variety of traditions, foods, beliefs, ways of life.
And it's the direct experience that matters, more than just reading about it or seeing it on TV.
Absolutely. The power of direct personal experience is unparalleled. It helps us move beyond stereotypes, beyond the simplified stories we might get from media.
How so?
Well, when you're actually there, maybe trying to communicate across a language barrier at a market or sharing a meal or just observing daily life, those personal interactions, they chip away at preconceived ideas. They build a more nuanced, more empathetic view of the world. You start to see the shared humanity.
That makes sense. It's harder to hold on to stereotypes when you've had a real conversation with someone.
Exactly. It promotes tolerance, global awareness, in a way few other things can.
And the source gives examples of how this happens, like specific programs.
Yeah, it mentions things like cultural festivals or homestay programs. These are highlighted as ways to enable genuine interactions.
So not just a show put on for tourists.
Ideally not. They should be opportunities for real mutual learning, mutual appreciation. Imagine staying with a local family, maybe learning a few words, helping cook something traditional, joining a community event.
That feels much deeper than just, walking through a museum.
Much deeper. The essay suggests this kind of interaction builds real bonds, promotes that tolerance we talked about.
And this idea of cultural exchange, it can also empower local communities, right? Especially in developing nations.
Yes, definitely. Tourism, when it's done well, can give communities a platform to showcase their unique heritage, their identity, their traditions with pride.
Any examples of that?
The essay points to ecotourism in Costa Rica. That's a classic example. Local guides aren't just pointing things out, they're educating visitors about biodiversity, about the rainforest ecosystem.
So it's not just a job, it's sharing their knowledge, their connection to the place.
Exactly. And it links cultural pride directly with economic benefit and, crucially, environmental protection.
How does that link work?
Well, if locals directly benefit from sharing their natural wonders, their heritage, they gain a really powerful, tangible incentive to protect those things.
Ah, so they see the value, literally, in conserving it.
Precisely. It creates this direct feedback loop. Economic opportunity fuels conservation efforts. It's not just abstract goodwill, it's their livelihood, too.
What's fascinating here, and the essay really brings this out, is how these economic and cultural pluses can actually loop back. They can actively help protect the very things that make a place special to begin with.
Yeah, that brings us to the idea of preserving treasures. Tourism as a catalyst for protecting heritage and the environment.
Which sounds a bit counterintuitive, maybe. We often hear about tourists damaging sites.
It can seem that way, but the essay makes a strong case that tourism can be a powerful stimulus for preservation, not just a threat.
Through funding.
Primarily, yes. There's a direct financial link. Visitor fees, tourism taxes. This money often provides critical funding for conservation and restoration work.
Work that might not happen otherwise.
Often, yes. Think about maintaining ancient ruins or managing vast national parks. It's incredibly expensive, requires specialized skills. Without dedicated revenue, possibly from tourism, many sites would simply lack the resources to fight decay, climate change, human impact.
That makes sense. The essay mentions a specific example, doesn't it?
It does. Machu Picchu, a really powerful case. Revenue from entrance fees there is specifically earmarked for ongoing preservation projects.
And you think about a site like that, ancient, iconic, fragile, it needs constant care.
Constant, meticulous care, huge investment. That funding, largely from tourism, is essential for its long-term survival.
So it's a clear example of tourism money directly saving heritage.
A very clear example. It shows how, when managed right and profits are reinvested locally, tourism can be a guardian of these global treasures.
Okay, that's the direct financial link. What about indirect benefits? Awareness.
That's the other side of it. Increased awareness can lead to broader support for environmental protection. When people see these incredible natural wonders firsthand, a coral reef, a glacier, a rainforest.
It has more impact than just seeing a picture.
Absolutely. It often creates a much deeper personal connection, an understanding of its value, but also its fragility.
And that personal connection might make people care more.
That's the hope. That direct experience can raise public awareness globally. It encourages travelers to become advocates. Maybe they donate to conservation. Maybe they push for better policies back home. They become ambassadors, in a way.
Carrying the message of conservation out into the world.
Exactly. Spreading awareness based on their own experience.
Okay, so let's pull this all together. We've got the economic engine, the jobs, the infrastructure. We've got the cultural bridges, the potential for mutual understanding. And we've even got tourism potentially funding the preservation of nature and history. So what's the overall picture here on the positive side?
The essay makes it clear. Tourism, at its best, is a truly multifaceted positive force. It can build economic resilience, foster cultural appreciation, and even act as a guardian for our shared heritage.
So the potential is huge.
Huge potential when it's realized ethically, thoughtfully, with foresight. The core idea is that the lure of travel, that desire to explore, can be channeled into real benefits for communities and for preservation. It's not just a side effect, it's a substantial force for good, potentially, a foundation for sustainable development. That's the optimistic view the essay presents first.
That's a really compelling picture of tourism at its best, a force for good. But as we flagged earlier, and as the essay details very, very carefully, there's another side, a darker side.
Yeah, the flip side of the coin.
The essay is blunt. The negative impacts cannot and must not be ignored. When visitor numbers climb too high, beyond what a place can handle, we get severe ecological strain. The source calls it the heavy footprint of over-tourism.
And that term is key, over-tourism. It's not just lots of tourists, it's too many. Too many for the infrastructure, the local society, and critically, the natural environment to cope with sustainably, without suffering real damage.
So it's about exceeding a threshold, a carrying capacity.
Exactly. When the sheer scale of human presence and activity overwhelms the system's ability to absorb it, you get degradation, often long-term, sometimes irreversible.
And what kind of damage are we actually talking about, beyond just feeling crowded?
The source lists several interconnected issues. Increased pollution is a big one.
Air pollution from flights and traffic, waste pollution.
All of the above. Air, water, noise, solid waste. Then there's deforestation, clearing land for hotels and resorts, and critical resource depletion, freshwater being a major one in many tourist areas.
These aren't minor things. They sound like they have serious long-term consequences.
Absolutely. They hit local biodiversity hard, disrupt ecosystems, and ironically, can eventually destroy the very beauty that attracted tourists in the first place.
Can you imagine? Pristine beaches choked with plastic, forests gone, locals facing water shortages while resorts fill pools.
It happens. The essay gives specific examples of places really struggling with this.
Which ones?
Iconic destinations. Venice, Bali. They're mentioned explicitly as facing severe pressure from just too many visitors.
What kind of problems do they face? In Venice, for example.
Venice is a classic case. The sheer volume strains ancient infrastructure like sewage systems. The wake from huge cruise ships contributes to erosion, subsidence. Noise pollution disrupts daily life. Housing costs soar, pushing locals out. It's physical and social strain.
And Bali, known for its serenity.
Bali faces huge challenges with waste management, particularly plastic. Water scarcity is a major issue, with tourism consuming disproportionate amounts. Energy use is immense. These places grapple with a whole cocktail of problems driven by sheer numbers.
And the impact on wildlife, on biodiversity? The source mentions coral reefs. That sounds particularly alarming.
It is. The Great Barrier Reef is cited as suffering from tourist-related damage. It's a direct threat to biodiversity on a massive scale.
How exactly does tourism damage coral reefs? It's not immediately obvious.
Several ways. There's physical damage. Divers or snorkelers accidentally kicking or touching the coral, which is incredibly fragile. Boat anchors dragging across the reef can destroy huge areas.
Okay, direct physical impact.
But also indirect. Chemical pollution is a big one. Sunscreen chemicals washing off swimmers like oxybenzone are toxic to corals, causing bleaching, hindering growth. Sewage runoff from coastal development adds excess nutrients, leading to algal blooms that smother the coral.
Wow, so multiple threats, all linked back to tourism activity.
Exactly. It stresses and kills the coral, and that devastates the entire marine ecosystem that depends on the reef. The very thing people come to see is being destroyed by their presence.
That's a truly stark picture of environmental harm. And it leads to another really difficult question. What happens when the culture itself, the unique identity that attracts people, becomes another victim?
Cultural erosion, the commodification of heritage. This is a really subtle but deeply damaging potential outcome.
How does that work?
The essay explains that tourism can slowly erode cultural authenticity when local traditions, rituals, crafts are changed, simplified, or even invented just to meet tourist expectations.
So the original meaning gets lost.
It can, yeah. We're talking about cultural authenticity, the real context, the purpose, the meaning a tradition holds for the community itself. When these practices get disconnected from their roots, turned into products for outsiders, their essence can get diluted, distorted, lost.
That must be a really fine line for communities to walk. Sharing culture versus selling it out.
An incredibly difficult line. The source gives examples. Sacred rituals or traditional crafts being reduced to just spectacles. Performances.
Can you illustrate that?
Imagine a sacred dance, maybe performed once a year for a specific spiritual reason within the community. Now imagine it being shortened, made more exciting, performed 3 times a day in a hotel lobby for tourists.
The context is completely gone.
Completely. Or intricate handmade crafts full of meaning and history being replaced by mass-produced cheap versions for souvenir shops. The essay argues this undermines the original significance, obviously, but it can also breed real resentment among locals.
Resentment? Why?
Because they feel their heritage, something deeply part of their identity, is being disrespected, cheapened, reduced to a transaction. It can feel like a betrayal of their ancestors, of their community's values.
And the pressure to perform or produce for tourists, that changes things too.
Definitely. It can shift the focus internally from the intrinsic value, what it means to us, to its commercial viability, what will they pay for. That changes the practice itself. Sometimes it leads to something completely inauthentic, a hollow experience for the tourist, and a deep sense of loss for the community.
A tragic irony, as the essay puts it. Packaging culture destroys the very authenticity that was appealing.
Exactly.
So, if we connect this back, the economic benefits we talked about earlier, they clearly come with these big risks, especially when they create these unhealthy dependencies, which brings us to economic vulnerability and social inequality.
Yeah, this is another critical downside the essay explores really well. Relying too heavily on tourism makes economies incredibly vulnerable.
Vulnerable how?
Because tourism is so sensitive to external shocks, things totally outside local control.
Like seasonality, boom and bust cycles.
That's one aspect. The essay mentions seasonal fluctuations. Jobs and income just plummet in the off-season, leaving people struggling.
But bigger things too, global crises.
Absolutely. Pandemics are the obvious recent example, mentioned in the source. When international travel stops, economies totally dependent on it can be wiped out virtually overnight.
Leaving communities with no safety net, no diverse economy to fall back on?
Precisely. It reveals a stark lack of economic diversification, a very precarious situation.
And this vulnerability often goes hand in hand with social inequality, doesn't it? The benefits aren't always shared fairly.
That's a huge issue. The essay argues compellingly that tourism profits are often not distributed equitably. Particularly in developing nations, you often see large, foreign-owned hotel chains and tour operators dominating the scene.
So the money doesn't stay local.
A lot of it doesn't. It leaks out. Profits go back to corporate headquarters somewhere else, instead of being reinvested in the local community.
So locals might see the resorts going up, the tourists arriving, but not actually benefit much themselves.
They might even be worse off, in some ways, marginalized, while the appearance is one of booming business.
And you mentioned resource depletion earlier. That can directly pit tourist needs against local needs, right? The source gives an example.
Water shortages, that's a classic, infuriating example.
How does that play out?
Luxury hotels, with their pools, lawns, golf courses, endless laundry. They consume vast amounts of water, often far more per capita than locals. In areas where water is already scarce, this can lead to rationing for local residents while tourists are using it freely.
That sounds incredibly unfair. Creates real tension.
Huge tension, deep social divides. It highlights a system where tourist comfort is often prioritized over the basic needs of the host community. The essay sums it up by referencing critics who argue that, without strong regulation, tourism defaults to prioritizing profit above all else.
Above sustainability, above cultural integrity, above local well-being.
Yes. Harming the environment and culture in the long run. A potential lose-lose for the destination itself.
So weighing these harms, the environmental damage, the cultural erosion, the economic vulnerability, the inequality, it really underscores the urgent need for responsible management, doesn't it?
Absolutely critical. Urgent.
It's clear the upsides are real, but the downsides can be profound, devastating, even if they're not addressed head-on.
Yeah, the paradise risks being lost, irrevocably. The essay really drives home that unchecked tourism, purely for profit, can systematically destroy the very things that attract people. Nature, culture. It's a powerful argument for a fundamental rethink, a recalibration of how we approach this global industry.
That call for a fundamental rethink, that's exactly where we need to go next. Because the essay isn't just doom and gloom. Its core message is actually optimistic, but conditional. It argues that tourism's benefits can outweigh the drawbacks. If
it's managed sustainably, that's the crucial condition.
Okay, let's really unpack that. How do we get there? How do we achieve that delicate balance where the good consistently wins out?
It comes down to being proactive, implementing well-thought-out solutions.
So it's not just letting tourism happen, but actively shaping it.
Precisely. That's the shift in thinking the essay champions, moving from passive acceptance to active, intentional management. It's not about stopping tourism, but transforming how it operates.
And this isn't just about being nice. It's about genuine sustainability.
Right.
That principle.
Exactly. Meeting the needs of today's travelers, communities, without wrecking things for future generations. Ensuring they can also enjoy these places, these cultures.
Which raises the big question.
Yeah.
What specific strategies can actually make this happen? How do we build this ethical exploration model?
That really is the million-dollar question.
And the source offers answers. It stresses that governments, communities, they must put policies in place. Policies that explicitly aim to balance economic gains with protecting the environment and culture.
And it can't be just one group doing it. It needs everyone pulling together.
A multi-stakeholder approach.
Absolutely. Local authorities, residents, businesses big and small, environmental groups. Everyone needs to be involved, sharing the vision, sharing the responsibility.
Using different tools, laws, economic incentives, education to control the negative impacts.
Yes, and critically, to make sure the benefits actually reach the local people, counteracting that leakage we talked about.
This sounds complex. It requires real political will, long-term thinking.
It does. Prioritizing long-term health over short-term, easy profits. That's the core challenge.
Okay, so what are some concrete examples the essay gives? Policies and practices. It mentions limiting visitor numbers.
Yes. That's a key strategy, especially in fragile areas. Limiting visitor numbers in protected zones.
New Zealand is mentioned as a model for this.
Right. New Zealand has implemented systems in some national parks and on popular trails. Things like permit systems, mandatory advance booking, maybe even daily caps on visitor numbers.
How does that work on the ground? Is it easy to enforce?
It requires good management, definitely. Monitoring, enforcement, often digital booking systems. It can be challenging, resource intensive.
But the benefit is,
Reduced physical impact, less erosion, less pollution, less stress on wildlife. It gives the environment breathing room, a chance to recover.
even if it means potentially less revenue in the short term.
Potentially, yes. But it safeguards the long-term value of the place. It ensures there's still something special to see in 10, 20, 50 years. It's quality over sheer quantity.
Makes sense. Beyond just limiting numbers, what about promoting eco-friendly practices? What does that look like?
It's about minimizing the footprint at every level. For tourism businesses, it means things like using renewable energy, serious waste reduction and recycling, conserving water, sourcing food locally and sustainably,
And for us as travelers,
choosing lower impact transport trains over planes where possible, public transport locally, hiking, cycling instead of demanding vehicle access everywhere, being mindful of energy and water use in hotels, reducing our own carbon footprint maybe through offsetting or just making smarter choices.
so it's a whole chain of actions.
A whole chain. Reducing wear and tear, reducing emissions, every choice adds up.
Then there's this concept the essay highlights, community-based tourism, CBT. How does that directly tackle the inequality issue?
CBT is really powerful because it puts local people directly in charge and makes them the primary beneficiary.
Instead of outside corporations.
Exactly. So locals might be the tour guides, run small guest houses or homestays, operate local restaurants, sell authentic crafts directly.
Keeping the money in the community.
That's the goal. A much larger share of the tourist spending stays local, directly benefiting the residents. It fights that profit leakage.
And presumably gives locals more control, more pride.
Absolutely. It fosters a real sense of ownership. And when people see the direct benefits of tourism flowing to them, they have a much stronger incentive to protect the local environment and culture.
Because it's their asset generating their income.
Precisely. They become active stewards, not just passive bystanders or employees of a foreign company. It's transformative potential.
Okay, so government policies, community models. But it feels like individual travelers have a big role too. It's not just their problem to solve.
Absolutely not. The essay stresses this. The collective impact of millions of individual tourist choices is immense.
Which means education is key, helping travelers understand their impact.
Crucial. Education campaigns that explain how our actions, even small ones, affect a place positively or negatively. Informed choices are powerful.
Let's get practical. Respecting local customs. What does that really mean day to day for a tourist?
It means doing a bit of homework, understanding local etiquette. Dress codes are a big one, covering up appropriately, especially at religious sites or in conservative areas. Public behavior may be avoiding loud conversations or excessive displays of affection. Religious sensitivities, knowing when photos are inappropriate, removing shoes.
Trying the language.
Even just a few basic phrases, hello, thank you, shows respect and goes a long way. It's about preserving cultural integrity and fostering positive interactions, not causing offense or resentment.
And minimizing our own environmental footprint. What are the key actions?
The source suggests simple but effective things. Reducing plastic waste is huge. Carry a reusable water bottle, a reusable bag. Say no to unnecessary plastic. Conserving water and energy in your hotel, shorter showers, turn off lights and AC when you leave. Sticking to marked trails in nature, not disturbing wildlife, not taking natural souvenirs like shells or rocks.
And choosing where we spend our money.
Yes. Supporting ethical businesses. Locally owned guest houses, restaurants, tour operators who clearly prioritize sustainability. Making sure your money benefits the community and responsible practices.
These seem like small things, but multiplied by millions.
They make a massive difference. It shifts the whole industry towards more sustainable practices from the demand side.
So looking at the global picture, this isn't just something one country or one community can fix alone, is it? It needs cooperation.
Definitely. The essay emphasizes that sustainability in tourism is a collective responsibility. It requires international cooperation and investment.
Investment in what?
It means governments shouldn't just collect tourism taxes and put them into general funds. They need to reinvest that revenue strategically.
Back into the things that attract tourists. Create a cycle.
Exactly. A virtuous cycle, channeling tourism profits back into conservation and cultural preservation projects.
Can you give examples of that reinvestment?
Funding for national parks, wildlife protection programs, restoring degraded ecosystems. And on the cultural side, restoring historic buildings, supporting local artists and craftspeople, funding museums and cultural centers, maybe community education programs.
So the money generated by tourism actively sustains the assets it depends on.
That's the core idea, ensuring long-term benefits for both the environment and the host communities, keeping the destination vibrant and healthy for the future.
And international cooperation, how does that fit in?
Organizations like the UN World Tourism Organization, UNWTO, play a key role. They help share best practices, set standards, facilitate research.
So countries can learn from each other, avoid reinventing the wheel.
Exactly. Developing common standards for things like carbon neutral travel, designing effective cultural sensitivity training for operators and tourists globally, sharing what works in promoting community-based tourism or managing visitor flows. This collective effort helps lift the entire industry towards being more responsible.
Okay, so as we bring this deep dive toward its end, what's the ultimate takeaway message from the essay?
The message is clear, I think, and powerful. If we prioritize sustainability at every single level, government policy, community action, individual choices, international collaboration, then tourism can be that positive force we talked about at the start.
A catalyst for economic prosperity, for global understanding.
And for safeguarding our natural and cultural heritage, not destroying it.
It paints a picture of travel that actually benefits everyone long term.
A future where exploration leaves a legacy of enrichment, not depletion. It's possible, the essay argues, but it requires conscious effort from all of us. It's about designing tourism deliberately, managing it carefully, and recognizing our shared responsibility, transforming a sometimes destructive force into one of enduring good. The blueprint is there. Hashtag, outro.
So wrapping up this deep dive, it's really clear, isn't it? Tourism is this incredibly powerful paradox. Huge benefits on one side, economic vitality, jobs, maybe even fostering understanding between cultures, protecting heritage sites sometimes.
Absolutely undeniable benefit.
But on the other side, those long shadows we talked about, severe environmental strain, the risk of cultural erosion, economic vulnerability, social inequality, real perils.
Perils that can undermine everything positive if left unchecked.
And our journey through the source material today really hammered home the critical need for a sustainable approach. It's not optional anymore. It means integrating tough regulations, empowering local communities, and demanding really responsible behavior from tourists themselves.
It's not just a nice idea. The essay frames it as an absolute necessity for the future of these destinations, and maybe for the future of meaningful travel itself.
A necessity.
And maybe as you, listening, plan your next trip, or even just daydream about one, perhaps consider this thought. Every journey we take leaves some kind of mark, not just in our photos or memories, but on the place itself, on the people there. So the question becomes, what kind of mark do you want to leave? How can your choices, where you go, how you travel, what you support, how can they help shape a future where these amazing places remain vibrant, cherished treasures for everyone, for generations still to come?
That's a powerful thought to end on. The power really does lie with all of us collectively to make a difference.